$1 million in commission every year? Do you want to know some habits, some tricks and some tools to set yourself apart from all of the other agents in your industry so that you are consistently making more money than you've ever dreamed of? Regardless of where you are in the world, this is the podcast for you. Hey, $1 million agents, it's Sandra again and welcome to episode 9. In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to pivot when the market changes so that you're consistently earning the same amount of money regardless of what this market is doing. Now, this is very topical. In Australia last week, the interest rates went up again for the second time in as many weeks. A lot of people were shocked, but they really shouldn't have been. We had low employment, we had high inflation. It was clear to any economist that the interest rates had to be increased, and that's what they've done. So if you're in residential property, that's a bit concerning because interest rates are going up and there'll be less buyers per property, which means that the demand will fall and it will eventually flip around if the interest rates keep going up to become a buyer's market instead of a seller's market. So if you'd like to get out of residential, keep listening to this podcast. In commercial property, we have the luxury of being able to pivot when the interest rates go up. So we don't need to worry about what the market's doing. People are either leasing or buying. Now, people are investors. If they're buying an investment property, they're going to need tenants in there. So when interest rates are high, what's happening? It becomes cheaper to lease rather than to buy. So from a business perspective, it's better to actually start looking around for premises to lease than to purchase. So this is where you need to pivot. And you have to be able to jump on either the leasing horse or the selling horse, depending on what the interest rates are doing. So you don't need to worry about it so much. You need to worry more about what your clients' requirements are and what their budget is per month to put towards whatever commercial premises they need. So over the past 2 years, pretty much since COVID hit, it has been a lot cheaper to buy your commercial premises than to rent it. Now, we're talking about small business here. We're not talking about McDonald's. There are some businesses that their business model and this way that they're structured means that they need to own the premises. They're not tenants. They don't want to be tenants. More often than not, they're landlords on a larger scale. But we're talking smaller business owners who have to deal with the day-to-day business transactions. Okay, superstar agents, now what do? We know the interest rates are going up. We need to go and get the listings. We need to find some lease listings. Go to your territory, list everything that's for lease, and make sure you've got a good variety of stock. As new agents, you need to be across the board with everything that's on the market in your patch. When you're a bit older like myself, you get to be a bit choosy and you can pick and choose what you want to do. But when you're cutting your teeth in commercial real estate, you really need to have control of a territory because that way you'll be the go-to for that particular area. And if somebody's looking in one area, you're going to have more than one choice for that particular tenant. So another thing we're going to do, $1 million agents, is we're going to convince our existing vendors who have vacant properties to lease these properties and bundle the property up as an investment. Now, why do we do this? Savvy investors sit back waiting for the interest rates to go up and look for the bargains, especially the cash buyers. So you will have a lot of investors that want to pick up stock in this market. They're staying away from the shares. They're going into property. Also, you will find residential investors tend to fall off the residential investment market and come into the commercial sector. It's a good time for them to get in here. Why? Interest rates are high, but the return on investment is higher. So it's very hard to negative gear commercial property. What? I hear you ask, you don't negative gear commercial property? Why on earth would you do that? Isn't that bad for your tax deduction? No. Why would you buy a property that is a negatively geared property? If you've got interest rates going up and you're already negatively gearing, you're going to be in a world of pain. You want a cash flow property. People don't buy commercial property to negative gear it. You can't retire on a negatively geared property. You need income. You need cash flow. And that's why people get into it. So bundle up your assets, put tenants in them, put a nice bow on it and send it out to your investors. That's the best way to pivot in a market like this. Why? Because there's lots of tenants around. Why? Because it's cheaper to rent. So it's a really simple formula. You just have to be ahead of the game. Now you can wait and see if what I'm telling you is right or wrong, but I'm telling you it's going to happen. So if interest rates are going up, it's going to force businesses to lease rather than buy. So you want to be ready for that. And the kicker is if there's more tenants looking for stock, then the rental rates are going to go up and the return on investment will be better for the investors. So what's the moral of the story here? Don't be a one-trick pony. As an agent, you want to be very efficient and competent in both sales and leasing. And if you're working in an office that's either got you just leasing or just selling, you need to either get out of that environment or have a chat to the principal and let them know you want to do both. It makes it very hard to pivot if you're just being pigeonholed into either a sales agent or a leasing agent. Now, if you're new to the industry and you're not getting a lot of training, or you are being trained in one or the other, either sales or leasing, and you'd like to know a bit more about the other side, you're in luck. I am just about to finish my online training course, which is the fundamentals of commercial real estate, and you'll be able to download that course. And I go through the technical side of both of those things, so both sales and leasing. And I give you loads of information and videos and show you the documents and step you through the process pretty much from scratch. So it's a really good course to do if you are new, even if you wanted to do it as a refresher course or get a feel for the market before you enter into it, or just brush up your skills in general. So let's do a recap on today's podcast. We don't need to be too concerned about market conditions. Obviously, you need to know what's going on. But to be a superstar agent, you need to be able to pivot in that market. So if interest rates are high, what's happening? There's more tenants in the market because it's cheaper to lease a premises than to purchase. So what do? We pivot and we put those tenants into our vacant properties, bundle them up and sell them to investors. Or you could just lease them and your landlord may be happy to keep them. However, you have to put your thinking cap on, be ahead of the game, start getting your lease listings up. The interest rates have gone up. You are going to need to do this. The other thing, don't be a one-trick pony. You need to be proficient in sales and in leasing and not just one or the other. Start getting some runs on the board with sales and leasing so that you can pivot easily and you've got experience in both of those fields. Remember, the investors are out there. They're coming out in droves. We want to give them something to get their teeth into. So convincing your vendors to put tenants in their building is a good idea. Why? There will be less demand from owner-occupiers and more demand from tenants. The demand from tenants is going to drive the rental rates up and in turn drive the return on investment up for the investors. It's so simple. And if you're a residential agent and you're looking for a career change, this is such a great industry to get into right now. Leasing, as you may have gathered, is a business unto itself. Being a leasing agent you can make plenty of money just doing leasing. You don't want to be that one-trick pony, as I've said. However, in residential, leasing's a means to an end. You want to get the tenant in so you can manage it. Management is another ballgame altogether. I'm not going to talk about management. It's not my speciality. We will, however, interview some very good commercial property managers in the industry so that you can get a feel for what the management side of it is, as well as in case you're looking at getting it into that field. So let's get back to the leasing model. Commercial leasing is a business all on its own, and we charge fees for this, and I'm talking good fees. We charge the commissions based on the annual income, so the annual rental of that property. So if the rent is, say, $100,000 a year, the fees could be anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 for the commission for the agent. So that's why it's important to pivot from sales to leasing when the market's flat. You don't want to be sitting around not doing anything and not selling anything. Go and find some leasing stock. You can still make good money. You can still make excellent money leasing, but you need to be able to switch those hats around. So if there's any residential agents listening to my podcast in the audience there and you would like to get into commercial real estate, please touch base with me because I would love to help you do that. I think residential is going to be tough. There'll be a mass exodus of new agents that came into the market in the last couple of years when COVID made the prices go crazy, and now it's a lot tougher. And the competition is outrageous in residential. In commercial, we need people. We need women in it. We need men and women who want to be better agents than what's going on at the moment. We want to upset the market. We want to get some fresh people in and give it a big shake up. And there's plenty of money to be made for everyone. So touch base with me. You can contact me directly on sandra@milliondollaragent.info. I'll put my email address in the show notes below. But yeah, if you are interested in jumping ship, welcome to the dark side. Come and talk to me. You can actually even book a 15-minute session on my website, and I don't charge you for it. But if you're serious about having a chat and having a career change, I would love to spend some time with you. So just let me know. So that's a wrap for episode 9. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I hope you can join me next week for episode 10. It's going to be a really cool session with a LinkedIn expert who's going to teach us about profile optimization to make sure your brand stands out from the rest. My name is Sandra Carter. You can find me on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram under Sandra Carter Commercial Agent. Keep selling hard and smash that glass ceiling.